So this is the book I'm going to be working through for the next year. This is 365 Days of Art by Lorna Scobie, and it's a creative exercise for every day of the year. I've been struggling a bit recently to be motivated and inspired with my art, so I'm hoping that this is going to give me a bit of a kickstart. So it's a really nice book, it's really thick, it's really good quality. I'll put a link to it down in the description. I got it from Amazon. So it's got a lovely introduction, which I won't dwell on too much because you can read it for yourself, but it basically explains the purpose of the book and why she's made it. Then you've got a handy chart to keep updated with your progress or lack thereof. And then you've got a few pages covering the basic materials that she suggests that you use. Pencils, fine liners, coloured pencils, watercolours, brush pens, and all the rest of it. And then you get into the actual book. So it's got a wide range of different activities. Some are half pages, some are full pages. There's a bit of everything. There's some calligraphy, there's some prompts to help you find your mojo. There's a whole load of different things, and I'm really excited to get going with this. So the first page is a load of triangles, and it's to colour or create a pattern. So I don't really know what I'm going to do with this yet. I'm just going to see how it goes. I'm not even sure what medium I'm going to use to produce this. So let's just have a go and see how we get on.
Okay, so first of all I have to apologise for my voice. I've got a stinking cold, so I sound a lot more nasal than I would normally. I'm also having to use my tabletop mic because my hands-free stand-up mic is not working. So until I get a new cable, I'm stuck with my tabletop mic. But anyway, so this first page, the pattern page, I wasn't really sure what to do. The triangles are quite a geometric shape. They also made diamonds, but the lines were hand-drawn and freeform, so I wanted to go ahead and do something quite abstract and interesting. So the first thing I did was to get some watercolour. This is actually liquid watercolour, and I just used a water brush to spread a nice layer of blue across the entire page. I tried to sort of make it fairly random, but I wanted to get complete coverage over the whole page. Some of the areas were wetter than others and some had more pigment, so I just tried to even it out as much as I could, but at the same time I didn't want it to look too uniform. I wanted it to look a little bit abstract and a little bit sort of patchy in places. So I went in with the heat tool and just dried off that first layer of watercolour because it was quite wet and I was a bit worried about it soaking through. I then went in with my Derwent Academy watercolour pencils. I love these, they're amazing. The pigments are really, really good. The lead of the pencil is really soft and they're really easy to blend. So what I was trying to do here was just pick out a few of the triangles just to make a little bit more differentiation between the areas of the triangles. And then once I had done a little bit of adding of colour, some of them I shaded in, some of them I left just as the outline, and then I went back in with the water brush, just with water. For some reason my camera decided it wasn't going to record that part, so I went in with the water brush and just spread the pigment around a little bit, and then I'm using a different colour, two different colours in fact, of blue, just to pick out a little bit more of the triangles to make a bit more differentiation of the colour, and then once again back in with the water pen to try and spread the pigment around to make the pattern stand out a little bit more. And then back in with the heat tool just to dry all that off. And then I decided just to describe a few more of the lines and try and add a bit more pigment to the paper, because it looks much brighter on camera than it does in real life, but I wasn't happy that it was blue enough. It looked quite patchy and there was bits of where you could see the original paper colour showing through, so I just wanted to add in a little bit more colour, and it started to sort of develop a little bit more, and then back with the water brush just to blend the pigment into what was already there. I thought at this point it was starting to look like a sort of a mountain range, but I didn't want to go for anything that looked like something. I wanted to just make it look quite abstract. Using a piece of kitchen towel is really good for just dabbing up additional pigment, and it can give a really nice textured effect if you're using watercolours. And I couldn't have done this without the heat gun, because it just takes so long, especially in March in Britain when it's really cold, for the paper to dry, and it just would have taken me hours and hours, probably days, to get this done otherwise. The next thing I did was using these amazing metallic colours watercolour, the Gansai Tambi Starry Colours. They're a water-based pigment, and there's a set of 6 different colours, and the one that I'm using there is called White Gold, and I just wanted to add a bit of sparkle, a bit of more differentiation between the colours there. And it's it's sort of semi-opaque, so it does sort of cover over the colour a little bit. Then finally, once that had dried, I went in with a white gel pen. This is Jelly Roll white pen. It wasn't that brilliant at drawing on top of the paper. I don't know if maybe it was still slightly damp when I was trying to do it. I was a little bit disappointed that it wasn't sort of defining the lines quite as well as I wanted it to. It was sort of quite streaky. But I think just adding in a few lines just makes the pattern back to a bit more abstract, but just defines it a little bit more. I decided I wanted to add a few areas of white, which sort of picked out amongst the silver as well. And then I wasn't happy with the jelly pen, so I decided to go in with some white acrylic paint and a very tiny paintbrush, and I just wanted to go back over some of the lines and the areas of white that I had decided to put in, because I just didn't feel that the jelly pen had made the lines look defined enough. It still looked like it was too scratchy. It's difficult to see on camera, but in real life it does look quite scratchy. So I went back over the lines, and honestly I could have played with this forever, because I just got a bit carried away with using the acrylic. I love acrylic. It dries really quickly. A bit more kitchen towel there just to sort of blend the paint in, because it is opaque, so it does cover everything over really quite effectively. But using the paper towel just dabs off some of the pigment and allows the lines which were on the page to show through. So sort of suggesting the idea of mountains, perhaps, with some snow-covered peaks on them. And then I went in with a sort of a slanted brush, very thin, that I used to make the lines a little bit more clearly defined. And then we have the finished page, just trying to show the sparkles in the metallic paint that I used. See the lines, you still see the original lines that were on the page, but I think I've just added the colour and the additional white lines. There's a bit of texture in there as well because of the thickness of the acrylic paint, and some nice sparkle and glimmer from the white gold metallic paint that I used. Overall, I'm really pleased with it. It took me much longer than I was expecting it to, and I could have played with it for hours, but I actually really enjoyed doing it, and I think this is going to be a really good way of helping me to get back into doing some art on a daily basis. So please watch out for the next video coming up soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.